It's time to focus on the things you need, the things you deserve. You deserve a healthy body, supplements that get you moving and keep you moving, that make you feel good, look good, do good. And they shouldn't contain GMOs, artificial ingredients, or heavy metals, ever. Supplements that are clinically studied, use proven absorption technologies, are designed by scientists, and are ethically sourced and produced. Supplements with everything you need, nothing you don't. You deserve a company that you can trust, that's dedicated to safe manufacturing practices and third-party testing, that ensures the highest quality of effectiveness from extraction of ingredients all the way to the composition of the packaging. Wait a second. You deserve to see the process. You deserve a company led by a CEO with a deep belief in the power of people, dedicated to inspiring entrepreneurs to achieve success. A company with a phytonutrient chemist and expert on natural molecules who is obsessed with human health and has your best interest in mind to design its products. A board comprised of talented doctors from around the world. You deserve to be surrounded by people you trust and look up to. Empowered ambassadors that inspire wellness every day. Leaders who are rooting for you to be the best version of yourself. A community that works hard and plays hard. You deserve to experience adventures that take you around the world, and you deserve to be recognized for your hard work. It's time to get what you deserve. It's time to shift your focus. 3.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. For those of you that are here in the United States, it's a bit early here on Wednesday morning. And for those of our friends all over the world, whether it's in the afternoon or the morning, the evening, I want to say welcome to each and every one of you. Today, I'd like to take just a brief moment to introduce myself. My name is Gary Whorton, and I am going to be your host for this call today. And I got to tell you, folks, I love this series that has been that we're actively curating on the spot. I think it's important. I think it's timely, and I think a lot of people are ready for it. So, with that said, let's go ahead and jump right in. So this is going to be our weekly Global Connect call, and this is a way to connect with each and every one of you as you get started on your 3 adventure. Now, this series kicked off just about 2 weeks ago. And the first call was kicked off with Kim Hui, and she had a very special guest, our newest 6-star director, Holly DeMont. And they shared with you the importance of the story that is 3, but more importantly, your story. Your story will be foundational. I love that Holly mentions that in her remarks, is that your story is foundational. It is the cornerstone, is the key piece to everything that you're going to do here. When you talk to your friends and connections and family, your story is the thing that's going to draw them in. We've heard the term many times: facts tell, stories sell, right? We have all the facts. We have phenomenal science. We have an unbelievable product line that seems to be expanding, especially as of recent. We have what it takes. We have, third-party studies. We have a scientific advisory board with 10 members. We have an incredible logistical team and corporate office, and then we get to our field. And that is where I think our real magic is. Everything is combined one, but all of our people, the ones that are on the front lines making connections with all of you and all of your friends and family and contacts, is where the magic really is. And so when you share your story and you do that, you have the ability to invite people in. They can see themselves in a part of your story, and that's the thing that leads them down the field. The second video was last week, and it was by my good friend, Dr. Alicia Clevenger. And Alicia did a masterful job on the art of connecting and inviting. One of the things I loved about what Alicia talks about is the importance of slowing down the conversation and making sure that you're making that connection, right? that is really important as you begin this journey and you welcome people into this phenomenal opportunity. Is that by listening to them and connecting with them, you're able to understand their story and what their needs are, and through that is how we're able to serve them in a way that we can really get to their own needs. And that's going to be a little bit of what I'm going to talk about today, which is going to be the enrollment process. So this will be the third video in the series, and I want to cover enrollment with you. So it's seemingly it's simple, but I think that if you just stay committed to it and you get your process and you get your stride down, you'll be off to the races in no time. So with that said, I'm happy to kind of just jump right in. And so I want to talk briefly about what does it mean to enroll somebody, and I've really been thinking about this question over the last week. And, to enroll somebody isn't just signing them up, it's enrolling them into a vision of their life. It's helping them see a new possibility in their own health, in finances, their income, their time, and their purpose. When people can see themselves in any story, they can determine, what their commitment level is like, right? Can they visualize themselves actually doing this, right? Well, just by connecting with our people, with our prospects, and we see our prospects as people, not prospects. That's the magic right there, by the way, or some of it, I should say. You will create a type of connection, with a person in front of you that facilitates trust, and you begin to create a bond. So to enroll somebody is an open door. It's for them to walk into a door of a better version of their own life with you as the guide. I think about the movie Lord of the Rings, for example, right? And I think that, there's, it's full of all different types of characters. But I'm going to tell you that my favorite character in that series is probably Samwise. It isn't necessarily Frodo Baggins, right? I mean, Frodo is, he's the hero. He's the one who's climbing the mountain. But who is the guy that has helped Frodo to get to his destination, right? That's Samwise. And so if you can do that, if you can be that person, to the person that you've invited into this opportunity, man, what a gift that is. You know what I mean? To see them succeed. And that's the beautiful thing about this model, is that when they succeed, we all do. So just something to note there. Enrolling them into finding a solution for themselves. This is really important. Before they even enroll into three, they need to enroll to the idea that there's a better way forward for them, And by us doing what we need to do, by communicating with them and listening to them and listening deeply to what it is that they're sharing with us, we're going to be able to serve them and to identify the best way that we can offer them solutions, a different pathway forward. One of the things I often do, when I'm talking with somebody or I'm presenting and somebody, that has been introduced to me, and I'm sitting down with them to see how they can see themselves in this, in this opportunity, is I'll define what their needs are. If the conversation has led to that, what I'll do is I'll often find out, what is going on in their own health and wellness. You know what I mean? Can we be of service right there? Right? I want to know about them. I want to know about their family. What can we do to serve? The second thing I would say is that oftentimes what I'll also do is I start to get into a little bit of the financial aspect. What is the amount of money that makes a difference in your life right now? What is that amount of money? You know what I mean? For people, it just depends. I had people come on board that they just wanted an extra $500 a month, And then I have people that are a bit ambitious as well too, and so we have a plan for either one. And by breaking down that process so that they can see how they do this, how they build this, it really allows them to see themselves and what's possible for them. One of the other things I like to do is so listen deeply. That was something I mentioned. Where are they now? Where do they want to go? Ask well. If I could show you something that could move the needle on your energy, your finances, your focus, would you want to hear more about it? We're not selling a product. We're identifying a solution that's personalized and real. That's super important to understand. And at that point, you have the opportunity to introduce what Three is. Three is a global wellness platform that delivers curated, clinically backed phytonutrients that your body can actually absorb. There's a reason why when people, get familiar with our beautiful product line, they actually feel it. And it's one of the reasons why we see the growth that we do is because they're sharing it with their friends and their family, their neighbors, all of their contacts. They feel great, they look great, and they want to share that. That's something that comes so natural. Um, then let's from that point is that once you kind of share the global platform, you know what I mean, at that point it kind of bridges you into the next fundamental step. And so there's four key components that I can think of off the top of my head in the enrollment process, right? Connect, invite, enroll, and follow up. So when you connect, you want to be genuinely curious. Be really curious about them. I love that, again, Dr. Clevenger covered this in the last call, there's even expanded tools that you can use. A FORM, FORM, family, occupation, recreation, motivators. These simple terms, if you ask questions about that, you're going to learn a lot about somebody, and they're going to feel the bond that you're genuinely interested in them, that you're seeing them as a person and not a prospect. And that, my friends, is a really powerful step in the direction of where you want to go in building a team here at Three. I think oftentimes where we get a little sidetracked, or I've seen it, with myself in the beginning, and I've seen it in my own team, is that they look to start enrolling people immediately. Oh, people just, if they just see the vision, and this will be so great for them. Yeah, well, we know that it will be, but you got to reach them. You got to form that bond. You got to form that connection. And sometimes, maybe for, people that we've known for a long time, that comes really easily. They've known you. They're going to say yes. Some of my friends in the beginning just said yes because I was, they knew I'm very mindful of my time. Time is my most important commodity. I do not waste it. And so usually if I'm getting involved in something, they're like, what is this about? So I've got the people that are really close to me that just are going to say yes on the spot. You're likely going to have some of those people in your life too, but there's also going to be a lot of people who have been pitched from sun up to sundown and everything that they can possibly imagine. I don't even think you can walk through a mall anymore. I'm kind of dating myself like a mall, but the kiosks that are in the center, how many people, try to get you to stop and they want you to buy their product and this and that, you know what I mean? So people can be a little bit suspect. So again, see them as a person and not as a prospect. I promise you, my friends, that will help you. Invite. I thought of you because, right? In our conversation that we talked about a couple days ago, you had mentioned that your brother was having some knee discomfort. There was some inflammation there. We have I was laying in bed and it came over me and I just thought, you know what? I really want to share this with you. Um, Revive, right? Powerful anti-inflammatory. People take this and they can feel it, share that with them. It's an entry point. And you can do that with literally anything, my friends. Again, by leveraging that FORM acronym, family, occupation. Occupation is another big one, right? So I always tell people that it's best to approach this introduction with the business first. If the business opportunity is for them, then great. If if maybe they have the job of their dreams. You know what I mean? Pretty hard to convince somebody to join you to go build a new platform business if they're already doing the thing that they love. You know what I mean? So, and that's fine. But by starting with the business, it leaves you the opportunity to then talk about the product line. If they say no to the product line first, you can't talk about the business. See how that works? So that's the key. So start with the business and then, you can talk about the product and, enroll it, always taking into account that this is a person in front of you and conversations just go in certain directions sometimes. So you just got to kind of follow it, So yeah, so to invite, I thought of you because it's a great way to open the door to get the conversation moving. So show them, walk them through the story of Three. It's not a sales pitch, we are essentially still a startup, we're headquartered right here in the American Southwest. We are in 15 markets internationally. And we have 10 beautiful products, six in, supplementation, wellness that are orally taken in, and then we have four beautiful skincare products. Um, we have a scientific advisory board, 5 men, 5 women from some of the most prestigious institutions all over the world. We have third-party studies. We have so much to offer as you walk them through the story that is three, and we are just getting started, right? I've heard it said a number of times is that right now we're in 15 markets, but the goal is going to move beyond 150 markets. So we have a long way to go, and we couldn't be more excited. I cannot wait to see um, where this journey is going to take all of us. So, and then and follow up. You know what I mean? If you had a conversation with somebody, don't just check in. Coach them into clarity. So see where they're at. Where did they leave off since you last spoke with them? Follow up is one that I see as a really big one with a lot of people in my team as well too. I have a number of people that have mastered it, but face it, like we're busy people. Life can get moving in any number of directions. And especially as your organization, I bet you Holly DeMont would admit to this, is that as your organization expands in size, you know what I mean? Like you have to implement a few different systems in place because the volume you really can run away from you. So follow up, right? That's going to be the key of making sure that you can bring somebody into the process. Okay. The next item I want to talk about in the enrollment process, or the art of enrollment, is going to be how to overcome objections. I mean, one of the longest standing, and I think it's the best one to this day, something that I learned very early with Samson and Kim, is feel, felt, found. Somebody brings you an objection, and you say to them, you first off, you listen to them. You listen to it, let them finish their full thought and get all of that information, let them get it out, right? They've had some sort of experience, yeah, something that, they're not sure how this is going to work, or maybe they don't know about the science, or, they're unfamiliar with a leverage income model versus a linear income model. Let them get all this stuff out that way, right? And one of the things that you can train yourself to do is feel, felt, found, right? I know how you feel. I have felt that way too. And what I have found, or what others have found, is, the key thing I think that you're doing while you're doing that is you're validating their concerns. And that is really important. Nobody wants to be glossed over. Nobody, oh, just join. No, no, no. They want to be heard. They want to be felt. You know what I mean? And so I think the feel, felt, found is a really powerful, still, I think it's to this day, I think it's the best tool that you can use for overcoming objections. That said, I'd like to offer maybe a couple of others, just thoughts, to give you more and more tools. So you want to bridge and you want to validate. You want to bridge their concerns, and you want to validate them as well too. Acknowledge the concern. That makes total sense. Build the bridge. What I've seen work really well for others is the same spot is in that same spot is, you know, I've seen that happen a number of times in my own, in my own organization. So turn objections into questions. There's an art form to that, and it's pretty cool actually. It's too expensive, for example. Well, let's explore that compared to what? You know, Again, the second call with Dr. Clevenger, she really talks about the importance of having that back and forth. Ian, the back and forth, my friends, is helping to establish the relationship. You think in terms of like you're dating a romantic interest or something like that, right? I mean, it's not that it doesn't happen that people don't, run off and get married on the third or fourth date. You know what I mean? But the beauty in it is all of those hours and hours of the date and getting to know one another and what is their favorite movies. Think along those lines. It's because what it comes down to, it's that human connection that we talked about on the call last week. I don't have time. That's another one. Another one to turn, to turn an objection into a question is I don't have time. Are you looking for a way to create more time freedom? You know, Oftentimes people will have a difficulty making that simple connection. They're so inundated with their day-to-day schedule, you know what I mean, that they can't see through the forest. They need a guide. They need a Sam Wise to help walk them through, if you will. Reframe the vision. Always bring it back to what they said that they wanted. It's important, you know. This is something that I do, through the entire process of somebody who's building an organization of three, you know, is coming back to the center point of what was their intentionality behind this. Um, they wanted to. I have there's a beautiful young lady who's in Southern California, that's a part of my team, and she has three jobs, and she really 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 wants to let one of those jobs go. And so, just an additional $1,500 a month gives her that ability to let go of an entire job. So when we think in terms of our leverage income model, how she can, with enough time, effort, and energy, she can build that and replace that income and let an entire job go, right? Imagine how she's going to feel when she's going to be able to let that second job go. And I suspect that in that type of momentum and trajectory, it won't be long before she'll, if it's her choice, then she'll be able to be full time with us. So you mentioned that you want more, you want travel, you want more time, you want to have more energy for your kids. Wouldn't it be worth it to explore something that could actually make that happen? You know, Again, always reframe the vision. So what would I say is the moving on? I would say, what is the approach to enrolling, into three? Share your story. Your why builds trust. Oftentimes I share my story, and if I'm doing a presentation, I share my story at the beginning of the presentation. If I'm a testimonial, there's another presenter, and then I share my story at the end, But the powerful thing is that when I share my story, other people can see into my life. And the chances are there's somebody on that Zoom, there's somebody in that room that connect with something that you just said, right? I often talk about, my time as a real estate. It's a career that I have loved, you know. And I did phenomenally well. I think every real estate agent on the day that they get their first real estate license, right, depending on what state they're in, they dream of selling beautiful homes or these prestigious pieces of architecture, whatever it means to them. And of course, if it's in the luxury sector, the higher the dollar, likely the larger the commission. I was really fortunate to get to perform in that industry at a level that very few people ever get the opportunity to do. I was blessed by that. A lot of people trusted me with many of their most important assets. And as I, began to work over the years, it's something like it's a model that I found very difficult to scale in my little town. I did, again, really well. I did a number of transactions, and I got to a point to where, as I was watching my bank account increase, I could watch my health and wellness decrease. It was diminishing. At some point, there has to be a reconciliation there. And when I got to a point where I was 100 pounds overweight, I was diagnosed as type 2 diabetic. I have leaky gut. I've been on hypertensive medication for years. I can go on and on. I'm not sleeping well. There's so many aspects of it that I had to come to a point that when somebody said to me, listen, I might have something for you. Kim caught me at the right time. She genuinely really did, because even though I had done well, I was ready for a change. My body was begging me for it. And so here we are today. So I'll just jump to this part. See, I'm trying to share with you my story as we go through this process, is that I've lost 75 pounds now. The last time I measured is 35 pounds new muscle mass. I think I've added more. We'll see. I'm going to get tested really soon here, so I'm kind of pushing it now at the moment. But anyway, I'm no longer type 2 diabetic. For the first time in 18 years, I'm able to get off of hypertensive medication. I sleep well. I look well. I had a lady stop me in a restaurant yesterday, and she says, I don't know, whatever you're doing, you look amazing. And I was like, thank you. Thank you. And guess what? Anyway, we're having that conversation to invite her into three as we speak, right? So that conversation is actively happening as we speak. So again, your story is going to build trust. And when you share from your heart what your experiences is, that's how people are going to be able to see themselves and how they'll be able to be more open to what you have to offer. There are many tools as well too. So we have the WOW workbook. The WOW workbook is a powerful tool. A lot of team members have put countless hours of effort and energy into that booklet. And so there's a number of things in there, from videos to testimonials to product guides to edification of the science, of the scientific team, of Dr. Gubler himself. The WOW workbook is a powerful tool. Uh, Samples, some people like to offer some samples. I know that Dr. Lena Gamble, who works in my organization, likes to do samples occasionally, and she just has, a single one or two of the packs of the Vitalite that she likes to share, and that works for her. The 3-minute testimonials, though, those are probably in all truth my favorite, right? Because again, we have so many people from all over the world that have joined, and they're sharing their story. And even if something that you have experienced doesn't resonate, by asking those questions and that connection, we can determine which of the which testimonial will speak to the person that we're inviting into this process. So again, there's so many things that come out from that connecting, right? And it allows you to have this place to do what we're talking about right here, which is the art of enrollment. Invite them to experience the community. We're not just wellness, we're wellness with momentum. I love it. I love that I've seen videos and images and pictures from all over the world that we're moving in the direction of wellness open houses. The realtor that's still inside me is going to have a lot of fun with that one. Invite people over. Again, like share the wellness as the platform. There's so much to offer in bringing people in the community together, right? And like over time, as you build, you'll notice something really beautiful happen. The community expands. It almost kind of takes on a life of its own, if you will. I've got, many people that are out connecting individually, not just in my organization, but with people from all over the world. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing what the wellness can offer. After enrollment, plug them in. That's super important, right? We want to get them going. Don't waste. Don't waste any time. As I talked about, time being the most precious of all the commodities, at least to me. Get them going. They're passionate. You've done the work. You've done the footwork. Likely, people, in your organization, on your team, no matter if they're the person that sponsored you or somebody else, people put a lot of energy into it to get to this point. And this is the beautiful moment where you get to get them going, to get them set out on their great journey. Um, Plugging them in, most important. Once a week, we offer a call on the opportunity. That's on Monday nights. On Tuesday nights, we have Empowerment Tuesday. On Wednesday night, we have Wellness Wednesday. And then we now have the 2 new calls, and this being one of in that series. And so we have the onboarding call, which takes place on Monday morning, 5 p.m. Los Angeles time. And then, or excuse me, 5 a.m. Los Angeles time, my correction, excuse me. And then we have the Global Connect call in a series, or each week we're walking you through the process and the steps to move forward, right? And that call is on Wednesday mornings at 5 a.m. So again, plugging them into the system. The WOW workbook, my friends, again, it is a detailed step-by-step of helping to educate the person who has come on board. So from setting up their e-wallet, that's really important. Let's make sure that they understand that they've joined a platform that wants to help them, earn income, right? Walk them through the wallet if you have to do it yourself, and, give them some guidance, support. Really important in the beginning. Again, be that Sam Wise, walk them through the process so that way they can feel the support. We have our onboarding calls. There's all kinds of WhatsApp groups as well. We have live events. I think that everybody would agree with this, is that whether or not you see a live event happening in your hometown right now, we have regionals that come around. We have convention. Convention is just around the corner for us. Powerful event to get your people to. This is all about plugging them in and building the community. When people are with their peers and they feel celebrated and they feel recognized, or they feel like they're contributing, I have people that love being a part of the community, that they want to be a part of the community. That is their priority. That is why they joined. They want to be well, and they want to be a part of a community. I have people that want to build a massive organization, and they're doing just that. They're in the trenches, connecting with people, really listening, and then most importantly, they're helping others do the same. map their 30, 60, 90-day goals. Where do they want to be in 30 days? Where do they want to be in 60 days? Where do they want to be in 90 days? We can do that. If it's a wellness goal, if it's a financial goal, what is the size of their organization that they'd like to create? Do they want an organization overseas? We're in 15 markets. Pretty cool thing when you get to travel to your team overseas and spend a little time there. So the art of enrollment, folks, is really just a step-by-step process that is a natural extension of connection, right? It's again, inviting them into the opportunity, into the business. One of the things I want to cover is, well, I got you here because, as this call is live, once a week, I want to talk a little bit about some of the current promotions and the things that we're offering, right? And so there are a couple things right now. So the Core 3 program has been extended. So listen, I'm telling you, of all the tools that are out there right now, Core 3 is an impeccable, incredible tool to help you grow your organization and motivate people to do the same, right? So, enroll 3 people and get each of those 3 people to enroll 3 people, and you're a builder. And that's why we are doing these series of calls, is to make all of this process a little bit more easier for you and for your team. So the other thing is I would also mention is that the Mother's Day promotions are still running for another week. I love these packages. Of all the packages that we've had, I'm a big fan. I think that I'll make a plug. Look, you'll have to decide what's right for you. I think that especially that Mother's Day promo pack number 2, where it's the entire skincare line and you get 2 free boxes of collagen, is a phenomenal deal. And listen, when people have the opportunity to experience, the neurocosmetic line as well as the collagen, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that creates believers. So, my friends, I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time so I can walk you through enrollment and what does enrollment actually mean. I want to thank you. Remember, your objective is to make money every day. So if you can get to a point to where you're cycling once a day, it takes work. You'll get there. You know what I mean? But, persistence is the key. That's what you want to do. You get to that focus and you're going to be off to the races. So again, I want to thank you all. I appreciate you for taking the time this morning. I hope you have an incredible day. And I look forward to seeing what's next for next week's call on the Global Connect. Thanks again. Take care. Bye.